Hello, this is Mercury Rising from Clash of Empire, also called Last Land. And I thought I would just do a video here where I'm showing all of the Atlantis reports that are in my account. It just, goes back, I think, till June and maybe before that. And I just thought I would show the reports. Now, I did not learn Atlantis for 8 months in my game, and I just didn't quite get it. But since I did get it, I learned how to fight it, and I, over time, felt like half the troop and guard was just senseless, because especially when I get beat by a giant or, something like that, it would just kill all my guard. And so, as that account that I started playing like that and had very low guard, like, why does it make sense to send a bunch of weak guard? My horses were strong. And I had discovered over time that my 6-star or my 7-star Genghis could beat a star Alex, 1-star larger Alex, as long as my guard and my T10 horse held out. And that account that had become weak in 313 was basically all horse anyway. Then I fashioned my 290 after that account, once I got that one, and changed it over to cavalry and started fighting Atlantis and it. I still play the same way. 80,000 guard on Genghis. And extra horses. Not all on T10 horse, but there would be extra T10 horse. And again, had continued to discover that now, of course, a T8 horse, if I send it, will die first. But there's usually not that many of those. But as long as my T10 horse would hold out, then I could beat seemingly bigger players if their guard didn't hold out. So I couldn't beat giants, but I could beat bigger stars, heroes. And so that's what I've always done since I decided that killing off 120,000 guard because some giant comes and kills me just wasn't worth it. Now, since I've been questioned about this method in multiple kingdoms, and I didn't really start evaluating it until 415. But as I have done the evaluations and I've done the testing, that I have found that 80,000 guard on Genghis is preferable, gets the cross badges more often and usually quicker than, say, 120. Now, any of these reports where it shows I sent 80 or maybe 90 in a rally on Genghis, I sent that Genghis out. If the Genghis shows there's 120 or 125,000 guard on it, that was a friend who sent it out. And I don't like sending that number of guard because I feel like if the T10 horse is going to hold out and I'm going to win because it holds out over the guard of the opponent, then having more T10 horse, to me, works as killing guard. Now, some of the other, and there are disagreements on that, by the way. Some of the other heroes I show here is Joan, and I had been playing Joan since 313, in both of my accounts there, actually, that I had, and especially in the weaker account. And the reason why I did that was because there was a lot of siege in that account, and I was having more success using Joan, an equal star Joan, in 313 with my original than I would with this 6 to 7-star Genghis or whatever it was, right? So I was having more luck, and I mean, it just is a weak account in a strong kingdom, and experimenting with that account has given me a lot of insight and knowledge. Now, I started using Caesar and a 10-star Richard also in my 290 account. It was strong in 290, but it dropped to top 20 in 313 and dropped to top 30 over time of me not being able to tend so many kingdoms. And it seemed to me that a 10-star Richard, although my friends would laugh and say, we didn't know Richard went riding. 10-star Richard seemed to work very well and get a lot of kills and a lot of cross badges, but even more so the 8-star Caesar. Now, Caesar has cavalry defense. also has other attributes that are obviously superior to Richard. So I've also played a 10-star Richard in my account here in 415. I have found that it does not work as well. I have an 8-star Caesar now, and so using 8-star Caesar, especially against tougher opponents, seems to be working out pretty well. Now, I may not stay in the battleground as long, and I may not stay alive as long, but it is getting the cross badges, which is the goal of Atlantis. Now, as I've done all this evaluating and looking at these different rallies and different times that I just sent my Genghis out solo, it is my opinion that I get more cross badges in the way that I do it. I may sacrifice a few extra troops. That may be true. But I do get good battleground scores in much shorter amount of time, and I get better cross badges per battle, in my opinion. And you can look at the reports, look them over and see what you think, but that's the reason why I do it this way. The reason why I use 80 to 90 guard, depending on whether I'm using Genghis, Joan, or Caesar. Now, the castle does need to be set up for the heroes that I'm specifically using, and I've done the testing on that and found that, yeah, I can't just leave my account the way it always is and play somebody other than Genghis. Need to have some of the cross badges and specialty on the siege for Joan. I need to have the specialty on spear for Caesar. Now, it doesn't mean that my spear is going to kill very well. It will kill some. And although on Joan, it doesn't seem to matter, but the siege seemed to kill anyway. I don't know what's up with that, but it's true. So I play this way, and I've gotten a lot of flack about it. I've gotten a lot of disagreements and debates about it. But I have done the testing, and I have found in what I have seen so far, and it's very limited, of course, that 80 to 90,000 guard on Genghis is better with extra horses than, say, 120. Now, one of the topics of discussion is the report with Killer, where I only walked away with 60,000, and I was told that it was kind of a loss. I only walked away with 60,000. But I got 1,554 cross badges in a battlefield that was around 3-4 hours. I'm not even sure how long it was. It wasn't very long. And my battles themselves were only an hour. So that means I could get more troops out, theoretically, but this was a failing faction, so I wasn't really, excited or adamant about doing that. Now, I will say, though, I did find an exception to what I was looking at and saying about the cross badges, is that I did have an 18-hour rally battlefield that was 18 hours, and I got around 2,500 and some odd cross badges, 2,800 and some odd cross badges, should I say. I got 1,800 in the one with Killer and the other guy, but around 2,800 or more in the 18-hour battlefield. Did tie up my hero for 18 hours, but that's what I got. And I thought, oh my gosh, look at that. Maybe 120,000 guard, which would have been sent by somebody else, not by me, because I don't send that many. Any of these reports that says 120,000 guard, it was somebody else who sent them. And any of them was 80 to 90, or if it was Caesar or Joan, it was me. So I'm like, oh my gosh, look at that. It worked. 120,000 guard worked. How did that happen, right? I got a lot of kills, which really isn't the goal. It's about the battlefield score. I got a good score. So all the check marks were there. All the positive things were there, except for how long the battlefield took, because that's a long time to have my hero wrapped up. And so I found, though, that happened to be the very first time Genghis went out this season, and it was not me. Like I said, 120,000 guard. It was not me who sent him out. But it wasn't until after I started looking at the reports, discovering that my friend who sent them out sent me in partial support. I wasn't in full support because I was trying to defend the mine, and of course Jack always defends the mine with his guard. And so I wasn't going to be sending guard, but I didn't want to spend the gold to go into full support when we didn't think they would hit, and they didn't. So I ended up going in partial support, and lo and behold, I'd come back into my account and my Genghis is marching. Now, I didn't do that. And I'm like, oh, look at that. And I didn't think nothing of it. It wasn't until the report started coming in and there was no glowing frame around my guard in the report that I realized, oh no, I didn't have my cross badges on my guard in the barracks. Yeah. So, but really, I did have some guard stats, and Genghis comes with some naturally anyway. But it wasn't as high of a guard as it should have been because my gems were changed to all cavalry and my cross badges were changed to all cavalry. But I got a lot of cross badges, 2,800 and something cross badges in that battlefield. I got a lot more kills, probably twice as many kills as what I had done in the last battlefield. And 120,000 guard absolutely worked that time. If that was a determining factor, who can really know? So I would have to say, yeah, 120,000 guard absolutely works if your guard is so bad and the horses are better, right? But see, I was playing my Genghis with the 80,000 guard with basically in solo mode, as if I was fighting archer, because I forgot to switch it to fighting cavalry, because that's usually how I set up my account for Genghis. In my castle, is I set it up as if I'm fighting cavalry. And that seems to do pretty well. Because really, archer's no big deal to go up against in Atlantis. But cavalry is tough for me in Atlantis, so it makes sense to set my castle as if I'm fighting cavalry. So I had stronger guard just for the fact that I had my account set up as solo as if I was fighting archer. It really wasn't my intention. It was completely accidental. But I don't think I did too badly. And I think that Killer was archer. I don't really remember. But anyway, I sure hope that you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much.